Welcome. When you first enter a space, you will be starting at the 0, 0 position of the space. You are able to control the camera that you are viewing through a variety of methods. First is by scrolling with your mouse wheel. You can zoom in or out to move the camera forward. You can move the camera or rotate the camera by clicking and holding with your right mouse button and moving your mouse. Your camera will move in the corresponding direction. You can also pan the camera by clicking and holding with your middle mouse wheel, which will let you pan the camera around. Otherwise, other movement is done with the W, A, S, and D keys or the arrow keys, and the camera will move in the corresponding direction. You might see in your space this pink cube with an arrow sticking out of it. This represents the player's initial spawn position when they go through the experience. You can change the spawn position by clicking this button here in the upper right-hand corner, and you can see that it is now following my mouse and trying its best to go with the geometry that is placed in. So to set the spawn position, you will simply left-click, and then you can move your mouse left or right to change the orientation of the player. Left-click again when you are satisfied with the orientation. That will free your mouse to do other actions. Next, let's go look at the Assets menu over here on the right. Here you can see a list of assets that you're able to cycle through based on pages. You are also able to search for any asset that it is that you are looking for by going to the search bar and typing in a name. So if I type in door, here's a variety of doors that exist within our repository for you to utilize. And you can delete it and continue on that way. Within the Virtual Objects tab, right next to it is the Virtual People tab. By clicking on here, you can see the virtual people that we have within our repository that are available for your use. And otherwise, it functions the exact same. So if I type in Sam, the character named Sam will be available will be released from the repository search. Okay. So with that, I'm just going to move my camera over to this spot over here. And I'm going to change the spawn position to be in the middle of this room, facing this way, which is where the action is going to be taking place. So first, I'm going to want to bring in my virtual person, or my first virtual person, which in this case, I'm going to bring in my colleague, which is this individual here. To bring in a virtual object, simply navigate to it and left-click, and when the loading is completed, you will see that the person will finish spawning in at the place where your mouse is. You can left-click again to drop the person, putting them in space. This will have their axis, or the axis shown if you have this selected here, which you can show and hide at any point in time, as well as generate the object in the hierarchy, as well as all the default attributes that exist for any individual person. If you want to create customizable attributes for the individual, you would hit this button here to go to the Customizable tab and create a custom attribute, which you can then give a name, choose what type it is, and its initial starting value. You can also delete customizable attributes by hitting the X button here. So for my person, now that he has been placed within this location, I am able to freely move him about. You can do this with the 3D operation tools that you see here. There's the selection tool, which is the one that you're on by default when entering the space. The movement tool, which lets you move the selected individuals between the area, as long as you're on that tool and you have selected an individual, which you can see if they're selected based off of this highlighted effect you see here. Whereas if they're not selected, they appear as normal. You can move someone up or down in the Y direction by going to the Y movement tool. You can rotate an individual by going to the rotate tool and holding and left clicking while dragging left or right. You can also use the scale tool to scale an individual or person up or down by clicking and dragging up and down. And last is the delete tool, which you can go to the delete tool, and the next object that you click with it, you will then be prompted, if you so choose, and then you can delete this prompt or hide this prompt by hitting the check mark, and it will confirm that you want to delete the object in question. So with that, that's the basics of the tools, and we will now begin populating our space appropriately.